Okay, so the year is 2021. Um, I had just left this job. It was a big name company, huge company, probably one of the biggest companies in the world, if not the biggest company in the world. I'm not going to say what it is because it shall remain nameless because I'm not here to advertise it, nor do I want to. But I was working for this company. I had, I guess you can say, moved up or kind of went over into a different department. So I end up taking this uh, position, which was driving a straight truck, and it was delivering packages pretty much all throughout the Midwest. I live in Michigan, by the way. So we would make deliveries all throughout Michigan and all throughout Ohio and Indiana. And I didn't like this job. I hated this job because of the hours. The start time would be, anywhere from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. at night, and you would get a text like around 6 p.m. to let you know what your schedule was. And I freaking hated. I just hated this job because I just felt like a zombie and I could not get any sleep. And I was probably there for about maybe 3 months, is my guesstimate. The only reason why I stayed that long was because of my boss. He liked me for whatever reason, but he had this route for me going to Indiana. I did not want to do it. Um, I I I knew it was going to be a long drive. I had been to Indiana before, and it's for those who've ever been to Indiana. It's just open fields and a lot of corn, a lot of cornfields. Um, especially when you go down a specific highway, it's just that's what it is. Um, and I remember dreading it. I was like, all right, I'll take it because it paid pretty good. The route paid pretty well. So I ended up taking the route. Um, on my way back, I was I was really tired. Like I said, this job was making me feel like a zombie. I just wasn't getting enough sleep, and I was driving the truck, and then out of nowhere, it was like a flash of light. In a blink of an eye, this light flew directly over my truck, and it it was like a blinding light. It blinded me. And this is in the morning time. This is in the daytime. This is not at nighttime. It's in the morning time. The light blinded me. It reflected off my white hood of my truck, and it literally blinded me for a few seconds. And then my truck started to rattle, and then it started to, you know, it was kind of tipsy, and then my beeper for the truck started to go off. For anybody who's ever driven a straight truck, I don't know if this is the same with semi trucks, but this specific straight truck, it would beep when I would get too close to a car that was in front of me. Mind you, there was nobody on the road. There was nobody in front of me. There was nobody in back of me. I was pretty much all alone on this road. No one around me. Cornfields for miles. Um, and then and this warmness came over me, and this calmness came over me that I had experienced before, that I would experience later on in life. And I just felt at peace and at ease. And I didn't see what it was. I just saw it was a white light that flew over my car and shook my truck. That's pretty much what it was. And I remember just feeling so at ease with everything and feeling that it was going to be okay, like a calm, soothing voice telling me that everything was going to be okay. And I still had probably about maybe an hour and a half, maybe an hour, 45 minutes to reach my destination back home. And I was tired. I was literally falling asleep at the wheel. This wasn't the first time. And so um, I had got back, and I remember going to sleep. I remember sleeping for a very long time, and my boss was trying to contact me, to pick up another shift, for the following day. And I turned off my phone. I turned off everything. Um, I slept for a really long time. I completely lost track of time. And I've said to him, I said, listen, this is not going to work out. I don't want to do this anymore. And it was that day I end up quitting. No, it was the following day I end up quitting. And it was just like, you know what? I don't care if I have to work for myself. I don't want to work this job. I don't want to work for anybody anymore. And from that day forward, a lot of things had changed. I had said this in the previous video where I quit watching television, I quit listening to the radio station. I started to pay attention to what I was eating, and it was really truly an awakening. And then from that day forward, even though I had worked for myself, decided to work for myself. Several months later, another job had called, but it was another independent contracting position. Even though I was employed through them, it was a really great job, and it didn't feel like I was employed through anybody. And it was essentially work my own hours, my own schedule, and it didn't even feel like I had a job. And I held on to that position for 3 years, but essentially just been working for myself for the past 5 years. And it was one of the best decisions I have ever made because I've never felt so free. Yeah, times have been tough, when it, comes to money. But I think um, it's allowed me a lot of freedom. And one thing I definitely want to do is make a cross country trip and see, not only see this country, but I want to be able to see the world. And eventually I want to, um, get there. But that moment just kind of changed my life and changed my outlook on things to come. And eventually, I would have, my experience that I had, 5 years ago. And I think it had a lot to do with, you know, that trip that I took to Indiana. So I got to thank Indiana, thank the beautiful state of Indiana, and thank the company that I was employed through, and of course my boss for giving me that route, because it completely changed my mind state of what it means to be actually free in life. And because of that encounter, whatever it was, whether it was alien related, whether it was a UAP, whether it was a comet, outer space phenomenon, who knows? But I got to thank that for happening, because it changed my whole outlook on life and essentially changed my whole direction.